Sorry, my video cut out. All right, so you identify that damage, you help them file the claim. What they're going to do is it'll take a few days. The roofing company will assign an adjuster. The adjuster will call the homeowner and say, hey, here's when I'm coming, Mr. or Miss Jones. What you want to tell the homeowner is to make sure they call you back because you want to be there for that adjuster inspection, okay? There's different types of adjusters. We'll talk about those too, but you want to be there for that. And the reason is you want to say, hey, Mr. and Ms. Jones, I represent your interest in this. When you work with Cornerstone, I'm going to be here to make sure you get everything of value that you have coming to you. All right. So you're going to be there for that process. The adjuster comes, and we'll talk more scripts on that as well, but I don't want to get too deep into that or this overview of the process. The adjuster comes, they do their inspection, they approve the roof. They say, okay, we're going to pay for the roof. We're going to pay for maybe some gutters or some siding, some paint. Just depends on how severe the storm was. All right. What they're going to do is they're going to use an industry standard software called Xactimate. You'll see another video on how to read the Xactimate scope of loss after this one. But basically what they do is they go to Xactimate, they draw out the roof, and they come up with all these line items for what they're going to pay for. All right, and that comes up to the total amount of what the roof is for. And they come up with two numbers. They come up with the actual cash value and the replacement cost value of the roof. Now, the actual cash value says, okay, this is a 30-year roof and it's 10 years old, so it's through 1/3 of its life. So the actual cash value is 2/3 of the replacement cost value. So if it's a $10,000 roof and it's 1/3 of its life old, it's actually worth $6,000, right? So, or 6,566 with 666, right? Like it's worth 2/3 of its original replacement costs. Okay, so what the homeowner gets then is that ACV amount up front, that depreciated amount, the actual cash value. All right, that's the first check. What they also get on the back end after the work is done is what's called the depreciation to get it up to the replacement cost value, which is what the insurance company says it will actually cost a contractor in today's market to replace that roof. That's the full $10,000. So the $6,000 up front, then we do the work, then they get the other $4,000, that gets it to the full 10, less their deductible. All right, so 500 or 1,000 or 1,500, whatever that is, because that's their that's the portion, if I could talk, that the homeowner is legally responsible to pay out of pocket based on their policy guidelines and what they agreed with the insurance company. All right, so that whole amount is what gets to the actual cost of the roof that they're going to pay Cornerstone to do the roof and get a new one put on. Now, as we go through the process, you get that scope of loss, you check it over. We're also going to do what's called supplementing as we build the roof, okay? Supplementing is where we work with a company called Balance Claims to make sure that any items left off of the scope of loss are covered. So maybe they didn't put the right type of starter shingle on or the ridge shingle or whatever. And we'll talk about what some of those terms if you don't know what they are, but there may be items that they left off, or maybe when we tear the roof off, we find things that weren't able to be seen in the initial inspection because they were under the shingles, right? So we do what's called a supplement on the back of that. That can create a third check from the insurance company, a supplement check that may come somewhere in the middle of the job. If it's for work that we're doing, that would come to Cornerstone as well. And we'll continue to talk more about that. But basically, the customer gets that ACV, we get the money, then we do the job, we file what's called a completion certificate, that gets the second check sent for the depreciation, and then the job is complete. Okay, so that's the insurance process in a nutshell. From inspection, our initial inspection, through the adjuster inspection, getting that scope of loss, getting that ACV check, doing the work, and then getting the depreciation following the completion certificate on the end. All right, and that's how you get paid along each step of the way. That's how Cornerstone gets paid along each step of the way, and it's how the customer gets taken care of. All right, we'll see more about some of each of these individual steps as we go through some of these other videos.